The James City County Board of Supervisors to order for the purpose of a business meeting. Mr. Stevens, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Wainwright.
Here.
Ms. Null.
Present.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Here.
Ms. Larson.
Here.
Mr. McGlennon.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. We have some presentations today. Actually, we have one presentation from Virginia Department of Transportation, Rossi Carroll. Mr. Carroll, nice to see you again.
Hey, Ross.
Thank you, Chairman McGlennon, other distinguished members of the board. Good to be here this afternoon with you all. Doing the quarter from October 1st to December 31st, we completed 436 of 499 maintenance work orders that we received, 87.4 completion rate for the quarter. The big ones were pothole patching, dead animal removal, sign repairs, and debris. Of those all, there's a breakout. We finished 97.4% of the ones that we entered, and out of the customer service center, we did 84.3 for a combined 87.4. We responded to 2 snow events in this quarter, which is sort of strange. Both of them were in December, December the 8th and December the 14th. I know it's a new quarter, but we're currently in a response for a new snow and ice, and it looks like this coming weekend, may be another challenge as well. But just to report out on that as well, we have pretty much completed our primaries, major secondaries. We've gotten over our secondaries. There are some subdivision streets that we cannot get into. And the reason being, I know the sun's out today, so it'll start melting a little bit. But when people park on the side of the road in an incline, it's not safe for our guys to try to get down there to spread that, because it's heavy equipment, and if it breaks loose on that ice, I don't want to run into people's vehicles along the road. So if you're in a subdivision, just think about parking in the driveways to give those bigger equipment room to get through the roadways. So, looking at this year, February the 2nd, we're going to start our primary, knock on wood, we're going to start our primary litter pickup for the county. The 20th, we'll start the secondary routes litter pickup. April the 2nd will be our first primary mowing in the county. And then it runs pretty much every month after that, all the way to October. VDOT projects that are in design, we have the Long Hill Road Shared Use Path. That projected award is April 5th of 27. We have the Airport Moortown Richmond Road Improvements Project, which is a smart scale shared between James City and York County. That is July 8th of project award date, July 8th of 2030. We have the Jamestown High School Sidewalk and Crosswalk project in design as well. We also have the Route 5 and Centerville Road and Route 30 at Old Stage Schoolhouse Lane, the right in, right outs. We advertised that, received a bid, but it was non-responsive. So we are next month going to put it back out for advertisement and hopefully get some responsive bids. The Pocahontas Trail widening in Complete Street, Phase 1, that's projected to award March 29 of 2028. And we have the Pinedale Road cross drain replacement. That pipe replacement is planned to be completed by June of this year. And that originally we were boring a cross drain underneath the roadway there, but due to some limitations, we are going to do it under traffic. So we're going to put half of it in, take out half, put half in, and then do the other side the same way. Projects that are under construction, we have guardrail contract. They've replaced 5 of 5 hits in the second term. We have the Croker Road widening. The fixed completion date for that is November the 18th, 2027. They're doing some roadway grading, drainage features throughout the project, installing cross drains and drainage structures. Upcoming activities, place base rock and prepare for roadway paving. and then shift traffic at department entrances. So there are a couple upcoming activities for that project. The Jamestown Transfer Bridge hydraulic lift system has been completed. Still hasn't been closed out, but they're cleaning up their laydown yard. If you've gone across the ferry, you'll see they had a laydown yard on the right-hand side, but you'll see there's new lift gates on both of the off the end of the pier at the ferry. And then we have the Rev Share project, the Centerville Jolly Pond signal installation. That project was awarded November the 10th of 2025. It is currently under construction. There's been some clearing, but they are waiting for materials to arrive for that signal installation. Paving, we have a couple paving projects in the county coming up for this summer. One of them is the Croker Park and Ride is getting paved and marked and striped. We do have a paving contract that is going to do Route 5 between Prosperity Court and Carolina Boulevard, Route 60 eastbound, but right close to Old Church Road to right close to Williamsburg Village Drive, 60 westbound from about just past Norwich Lane to Williamsburg Village Drive, and then Route 60 eastbound from East Quarter Path Road, which is right there, Williamsburg, James City County line, to about 600 feet past Battery Boulevard. Both of those are right there before it divides. We also have another project. So this project has changed a little bit. We've made some changes. It's PM5R. It was going to do part of Kings Point, but the sewer and water project, JCSA has planned, I guess got approval to go ahead and get started on that. So they're going to go ahead and get started. So we changed out some roads from that project to include Powhatan Shores, Spring Hill, and Monticello Woods. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a list of routes in those three communities or neighborhoods. The next paving is it's not paving, it's on Route 60 up Anderson's Corner out towards New Kent line. It's the concrete sections. I think y'all remember we advertised unbonded concrete overlay for that section of roadway. Did not get any bids or bids that met our estimate. So we're going to do a different route. We're going to go in this summer and patch out all of the concrete, and that's this project here. So there's a concrete section going westbound, as right at Anderson's Corner where it starts. And then if you come back from New Kent, there's also a concrete section coming eastbound. All of that will get patched out this summer, and then our intentions are to follow up with that and to overlay all of it with asphalt. The Gap C design build project, that is under construction. Estimated completion for that is April 20th of 2027. We have spent the FY26 county safety improvements funding. We did the Goodrich-Durfee pipe lining and also the drop inlet and curb and gutter repairs over on Goodwin-Durfee. We also did sidewalk repairs on Richmond Road, 7700 block. And then we did some sidewalk repairs on Centerville Road. Some traffic studies this quarter. We did the Monticello Avenue speed limit review. For now, that is staying at 45 miles per hour. We did the Route 661 Jackson Drive and Adams Road intersection safety review. We recommended we installed stop signs at the interchanges leading to Adams Road. We installed yield signs at Tyler Road and Stewart Circle and Jackson Drive, and we replaced a stop sign at Folly and Coleman Drive. Next, we had a no turn on red evaluation there at Monticello and Casey Boulevard. Based on the review, there were no changes recommended to the current situation. Crossover payment markings on Route 30. We recommend and have a work order to put in a double yellow to kind of separate the lanes for that crossover. And then Green Springs Plantation Drive, we did a speed limit review. Based on the 85th percentile, it was about 52.68 miles per hour. So right now, I think it's at 55 and 45, or 50 and 45, which was a reduce from the statutory 55 and 45 that it was. So what happened was that the signs went up, and then there was a request to do a speed study. Did a speed study, and then we changed the signage. There are some studies going on in the area. We have RSA, roadway safety analysis for Route 30 that we're working with. That is complete, but we're working with, and that's from Old Stage Road, from the New Kent line out towards 64. We have the project pipeline study for Centerville Road and Richmond Road currently going on. And we also have the pipeline study for 199 that's been going for a while now. And the last one is the Surrey Crossing Study, which involves James City County as well. That study is currently being developed and led by our Central Office Environmental Section, and it's expected to be completed around end of November of this year. That concludes my report. I'd be glad to take any comments or questions from the board at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. We really do appreciate you taking time to come out periodically to update us. And I think we're trying to see if we can formalize a schedule for the rest of the year because it is very useful information. At this point, we usually just ask if board members have any comments, questions, or issues they'd like to raise, and start with Ms. Wainwright, if you have anything.
Mr. Carroll, under studies, I don't know what RSA means.
Roadway safety analysis.
Safety, okay, because that's my area.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, the one question I had was with the ongoing study, I think, for potentially putting a crosswalk at Old News Road, crossing from between the Goodyear and in where we had that one pedestrian hit just recently. And I understand from Mr. Stevens that you guys have that plus two other potential pedestrian issues on Old News Road that you're looking at. Could you give us an idea of how long that will take to maybe what you anticipate coming out of that?
So the study for Old News Road was completed. We've discussed that one. The rest of them I've submitted. It takes about 60 days for them to get it through the queue. So I should hear something back in 60 or so days for the other, I think it was 3 crossings that we looked at, trying to kind of sort of complete that network.
Okay. All right. We'll follow up.
Now,
with
the one there at Old News Road, we looked at everything actually, which part of it, it's going to be a partnership, I guess, between developer, VDOT, and the county, and trying to get that in, because some of it's not all VDOT maintained.
Yeah, I understand that
Okay.
how difficult that is, but it became a lot more important when we had someone get hit there, because that does seem to be a pretty frequently used crossing area, and you know.
Next those two.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And the only other thing I would tell you is that I know, I don't know when you guys are going to be doing 199 westbound, I guess it is, where you get on at Old Town, at Long Hill. And when you come around that curve, you know how rough it is down there at the bottom. Well, I know you guys have patched it once or twice.
And it's going to be patched
It's got a
again.
big hole back there again, because I hit it the other day. But that I don't know whether, is that something you guys can probably put a temporary patch on until you get around to it?
So we're going to have to patch it again.
Okay.
Probably going to have to patch it a couple times. As it stands right now, it is in our 27 schedule, which is not this coming summer, but the following summer.
Okay.
So we're going to have to, we actually were discussing that this morning, looking at maybe doing some patching contract for, there's 2 or 3, that pavement is porous pavement. We did
Yes.
a study about 10 years ago out there. And that is why you see the delamination of some of that pavement versus some of the other pavement that we have out there. That over the years, that porous style pavement started to delaminate in those areas.
Okay.
So yes, we're aware of it.
Okay, good.
We're working on it.
And then the only other thing I would tell you is that as it's perennial, I think, is along the edges of News Road around Powhatan and Secondary, where that intersection is, some of the edges of the pavement have undercut and there's crumbling. So we got to look at a few places where there's some potholes there. If you could take a look at maybe a few of those patches too.
We didn't help it any of the past 3 days.
I can
assure
imagine you didn't. So,
We have been beating on the pavement.
well, and congratulations, because when I got, you guys did a great job in clearing the roads.
Thank
So
you.
I'm
I'll pass it along to the team. but
I was impressed with that. It's just getting out of our neighborhoods is the challenge right now. So,
Yeah, the pretreatment has been something, I think, all the storms that we've had, I think has helped tremendously. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here. Just had a few things I wanted to follow up on and questions I wanted to ask. So I'll just follow up. First of all, the Jamestown High School sidewalk crosswalk, you expect that to be awarded December 2027. I just want to,
That was the date that it showed on my paperwork.
Okay.
12/29/27.
okay. And then you got to re-advertise for,
Due
okay.
next month.
All right, so, but I have to give, thank you all for finally getting getting the contractor to put the markings. I know some people don't, they're still going through there, we get it, but I have to give James City County credit, police too. They've been being there and trying to do what they can to try to cut down on the number of people that are turning illegally there. So I really appreciate that. But the sooner we can,
If I could add, I will say that we've done some follow-up studies. I know I read the follow-up study for, I know it's not in your district, but Route 30 and Old Stage, and looked at the 3 years that when we started the RSA versus the past 4 years. And over the past 4 years, the reduction is, 30-40%.
I would imagine it is probably there too.
I think we've done that one too. I just
Yeah,
happened to read that one. So
It's
I think
definitely
both
helping.
areas have seen, I think, have seen some benefit with the change.
Yeah, I still get nasty emails about how cumbersome it is to have to go around,
I get 'em
but
too.
it was safety, and so I get the aggravation, but it was safety. And then a couple questions that I had was, you mentioned at the beginning that sometimes neighborhoods you cannot get into because of the way that there's parking. Is there any type of follow-up system to say, hey, we couldn't get into your neighborhood to plow because of the way that your residents were parking? Or do we just kind of assume that if they're not plowed and they call, that's how they'll find out?
So typically, regular snowstorm, we don't have the issue. So it's not something that we experience every storm. But when you're dealing with ice, which is a different in nature,
Sure.
we have to be cognizant of it. So we don't call each HOA. We don't put any placards. We really don't have time to do that. But there are situations where it's just not safe for us to put the equipment in that situation, knowing what the risks are.
I just think that's good to know for us, because I know we have some neighborhoods in the county with extremely narrow streets, and so which would already be tough to get down, plus small driveways, sort of makes for the perfect storm, no pun intended. But so just good to know for future
We
planning.
don't, typically subdivision roads, we don't do a lot of maintenance in there, but we will, like at nights, we'll go in and try to treat them at least. So if,
Yeah.
like today, the sun comes out, that salt will start working and break up that ice some.
Okay.
But there are situations where it's not safe for us to do it.
And then the last question I had was, there been a lot of talk about pedestrians and pedestrian safety, and I'm wondering, what does it take to get a crosswalk where you push the button and it lights up so that that, a pedestrian, it's not just the white sign at the end that says walk now, but that drivers are also seeing flashing lights to let them know that a pedestrian is in that crosswalk or getting ready to come in. And I don't think that's just typical. It's got to be an extra step. So
It does. Usually it's areas, so a lot of times it's areas of high volume. So high volume pedestrian use, high volume traffic use. A lot of times if it's mid-block, we use they're called rapid flashing beacons, the RFFBs, RRFBs, rectangular rapid flashing beacons. To notify if there's not the adequate sight distance. Sometimes we can still get in a crosswalk by using those to allow alerts that, that somebody's in the crosswalk, to be careful. They're not used in every situation at intersection crosswalks. Typically it's something special that's requiring it, at a school or part of a school crossing, or there's one on Ironbound right there for, it's not a mid-block crossing, but it comes from the park over to the subdivision, to the neighborhood there. There's one on 60 bypass, I know it's in York County, but that's a mid-block crossing on a 5-lane roadway. So, those type of things that, and the volumes too. Safety is part of it as well. So it's all part of a study to determine if the RRFBs are the appropriate way to go.
thank you. And then I'll just end with, thank you. I had gotten 2 questions from citizens this weekend that I sent, and you followed up. And then I sent another one regarding a sign. I said for the after the storm. But because there's a potential storm this weekend, just a reminder to look at that next week for me. So,
Okay, no problem.
because I don't know the answer to that question. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
And again, I want to congratulate your crew on the very good job that you've done with this storm. I know it's a real challenging one when you've got this ice. It's a real problem. People don't really understand sometimes how challenging it can be. But I did have a question about the condition of roads in Grove. We've been working on stormwater projects in a couple of the areas in the neighborhood, and the condition of the roads, both before and after, have been pretty challenging. In some ways, it's in terms of questions, is there anything that can be done to help upgrade the pavement to mitigate?
I just went through our pavement evaluations for 27. That's how I knew about 199. We did evaluation. The CCI, the pavement condition index for Grove, was not below 60, which is sort of our threshold. However, the evaluation was taken prior to the drainage project. I've talked to Grace. We're going to look at it together and see what we can do or come up with. I am going to put together an estimate just so we have a cost of what it would be to pave not only the sections that were widened, but also the whole community. That way, just sort of got a number of what it would cost to do.
Great. I appreciate that very much.
But the CCI, the condition index, is not in a threshold for repaving with asphalt.
And understand there are some sort of anomalies there, though. It is an older neighborhood that's had a tendency to be overlooked sometimes over the years. And
about 7 years ago was the last time that it was paved, and it was done because at the same time the condition index didn't make. So we did a preventative overlay. Some of that is starting to delaminate now.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 years is about all you're going to get out of a preventative treatment.
right, I remember.
But when you get into lateral cracking and stuff of that nature, that's really what we're evaluating is the pavement, what shape it's in.
Uh-huh, right, yeah. Well, I appreciate that attention to that issue very much. And, oh, okay. And again, want to express thanks to Ms. Null.
Now, Mr. Carroll, we'd spoken and you said we were going to be able to mark Route 60 at Oakland Road. Remember the lady said they can't get out onto Route 60 when 60 is backed up, and you were going to markings there or
Watch for,
leave
Yeah.
this area open. That hasn't been done.
okay.
Is
Well,
that
it's in
on-
the, it's in the queue then. It's in the queue.
It's in the
you know,
queue. Okay, because I was there
It's
the other day.
scheduled
and
to be done because they were going to put up signs, watch for,
Yeah.
do not block
do
intersection
not
is what
block
it was.
intersect- Well, the people said, thank you so much. When is it happening? And I said,
Okay.
I have no idea. So,
I will check
It's in
into
the
it.
queue.
I
Thank
know
you.
it, I know what we do is we issue a work order for it.
Okay.
And,
I'd
I'll
appreciate
follow
it.
up. I'll
But
follow
thank
up.
you for putting these things back up at Wawa. I mean, yeah, at Sheets, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much,
Well,
Mr. Carroll.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
all
you.
of
And let me say one more
Sure,
thing.
absolutely.
And thank y'all. This past snow event was wet, heavy, and, a lot of ice. And as our trucks were going down the road, I noticed that we knocked a few mailboxes off of the post. It's just so heavy. If you have a call or constituent, we do have a tort claim. They can call in and do a tort claim for replacement. We don't go out and replace it, but if they keep their receipts, we'll certainly process their tort claim for that. So I just wanted to get that out there because the snow this time was very heavy. A lot of ice, a lot of moisture in it. And when the trucks were going down the road, when it hits, it's a pretty good pow. So.
I did want to just make one other point.
I was just gonna, where can they find out that, what's
VDOT website.
VDOT website? Great.
I did also
Just put in tort claim.
want to mention one other thing that we talked about some, and I know it's been a real challenge to try to address the area of Lake Powell Road where the lady was unfortunately hit by a car that ran into the ditch while she was checking her mail, and know that we couldn't really come to an ability to figure out exactly how to best deal with that, but I do appreciate a lot the improved signage that's gone on that area to try to slow people down as they go through that very narrow stretch.
It kind of narrows down just past.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that.
Thank
too.
y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We were scheduled to have a presentation by the James City County Commission, their annual report for 2025, but the chair, Peg Borman, has been unable to attend because of a death in her family. And so we will wish the family well, but reschedule that presentation for a later meeting. The next item on our agenda is our consent calendar. We have 3 items on the consent calendar today. The consent calendar consists of items that are thought not to be controversial and can be considered en bloc. The first is a grant award for $24,992 for litter prevention and recycling program, which obviously is something that's directed toward the works of the Clean County Commission and our great environmental steward, Andrea Case. And we have a contract award for $1,161,272 for a replacement pumper for the fire department. And we have 3, I believe, minutes adoptions that are combined as the final item on the consent calendar. Would any member like to pull an item for discussion or ask for additional information?
Well, I will move the consent agenda, but would appreciate additional information on number 2, the contract award, but I will move the consent agenda.
We have a motion, but we'll wait till the chief has an opportunity to. Afternoon, Chief Ash.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Before you this afternoon is a contract award for a replacement fire pumper. These are included in our CIP budget and are part of our apparatus replacement plan that we look out 10, 15, and 20 years for what apparatus is coming up. So this is part of that budgeted process. This contract is awarded to Atlantic Emergency Solutions, which is the same vendor we've been purchasing our other fire trucks from. This design will be very similar to one that we just took delivery of, and we have another one on order. What's been unique over the last few apparatus purchases we've come before the board, we used to budget for an apparatus and replace it in the same fiscal year. We had a delivery time of about 9 months for a fire pumper. They're now 48 months. So this truck that we're ordering, we'll expect to receive 4 years from now. And we've seen similar times with the last two purchases of fire apparatus, the last two contracts. So that delay is created. We try to replace a truck about 20 years. National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, looks at 20 years for a fire pumper. Because of these longer lead times, we're often pushing 21, 22 years to get those replaced. But
This is a contract that's issued by Houston and Galveston, Texas, as I understand, but that has a provision that allows any other fire department to come in and utilize the same pricing?
Sure, great question. We've been using the Houston-Galveston area contract for, I guess, about the last 15 or 18 years. So that's a large cooperative contract nationwide, has many, many items. So we purchase our fire apparatus and our ambulances from that contract. Still provides base prices for certain style cabs, certain style bodies, and then you still get to allow some customization. So you're not buying the exact same truck that, for instance, a locality in the Midwest may use compared to ours. So we still get to customize it to the needs of our community, but the pricing is all based on that cooperative contract.
And then Chief, once you do get the apparatus, then you look at call volume, where you need to put that pumper and maybe do some rotation from what I understand.
Right, so the easy one is what truck goes away. That's our oldest, or in rare exception, we work with our fleet department to make sure that if there's one that's had a particular high increase in maintenance cost or replacement motor, things like that, we may adjust the order. But in general, our oldest truck goes away, and then the placement of this truck goes into frontline service at one of the 5 fire stations based on mileage, maintenance records for that equipment. So in general, we know, but we certainly did when we were buying them 9 months out. We were trying to guess ahead 4 years from now, if a truck ends up needing a motor replacement. We had to do that with an ambulance one time there. It was a truck we replaced sort of out of order because we were getting ready to spend a lot of money on the maintenance of that. So it made more sense to just take that one out of service and place the new one there.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve the consent calendar. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll,
Motion to
please?
approve.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. We now have board discussion, and the first item is WATA, and Matt Scalia is here as Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, good afternoon. I would like to thank VDOT and Mr. Carroll for the great performance they did, because it allowed us to get out with only a couple hours delay yesterday and this morning, and all routes. I will even highlight Chickahominy Road. We're even able to get down today. So great job by the VDOT team for us. Thank you for affording me the opportunity again to update you on our services and our plans for growth of services for the community in these coming years. So to start, sensitive there. There we go. First, I'd like to start with just how we ended up in FY25, and then we'll go over some of the great strides we've been making in customer satisfaction, customer experience improvements in the past number of years. I would like to save bulk of the time, though, on our transit strategic plan and what that means for the community, and then, of course, end with questions. Okay, so WATA by the numbers for FY25. The highlights here, as predicted, when I last presented to you, FY25, we were able to surpass FY19, that pre-COVID benchmark ridership numbers. That excludes the Route 15 Colonial numbers. This is just our standard core route numbers. And I will add that's even without running the same hours as we had before. So all that to say, we still provide a great service needed by many, and public transit is still valued. Looking at FY26 year to date, we're about the same, maybe a little bit shy of FY25 numbers. So what that tells me is we seem to have maxed out those need riders. So the real next market is getting those choice riders, and more on that here. Moving to our operators and fleet, I'm happy to say also a huge improvement from last time I spoke to you. Our operator strength is hovering right around 100%. We were part of the James City County compensation study from a couple of years ago with the same results. We were fair in our compensation, but we knew we could do better. So we too took on that 60 percentile target to attract and retain operators, and that has proved successful for us. This time last year, I was not quite so sure, but we've been holding steady with not just recruiting, but retaining those new operators pretty steadily for the past 6 to 9 months. That has allowed us to maintain reliable service, even in inclement weather. Moving on to our fleet, though pretty old, we do have 6 new buses on order to arrive this April. 4 are compressed natural gas and 2 are clean diesel. The compressed natural gas is a good technology for us. We currently are only running it on Route 15 Colonial for various reasons, but these new ones we will be able to expand out into the greater network of routes. And looking at our budget, I'll highlight this has been fairly standard. Over 65% of our budget comes from federal and state grants. Our budget has increased over a number of years. Got the expected impacts of maintenance and fuel compensation. Again, the compensation study was very helpful for us, so I think worthwhile investment there. All that to say, we have the lowest operating cost per hour in the region, Hampton Roads, and even extending to Richmond. So I think we do well with what we are provided. So thank you. The customer experience improvements, 3 areas here I'd like to focus on, but please appreciate the multiple aspects to a customer experience. First, starting with dignity and safety, and then we move on to convenience. So first, in the convenience side, mobile ticketing we implemented this time last year. It is increasing in popularity. It's much easier for the passenger. They can, through our transit app, purchase tickets and then just walk on board, scan it, and it saves time for the operator, for the passenger, and for everybody on that bus. Very convenient. To implement, as part of that, fare capping. So you might purchase a daily ticket. You don't have enough funds to purchase a month ticket, but when you get up to that limit of what it would cost for a month ticket, it'll fare cap you. So then you'll have essentially bought that monthly pass. So that'll be coming soon. And then we will be expanding it to participating vendors. If you don't have a credit card to set up an account, you can still purchase and take advantage of mobile ticketing with the local vendors. Very happy to highlight the progress and couldn't have done it without the support of the county and community development department in particular for our bus stop improvements. Okay, this truly is both safety and dignity. And you have highlighted there where these 15 stops currently underway in improvement are located. So you see all throughout our service area for the county. And we anticipate another 30 by the end of this calendar year. Thank you for what you have provided to the county for budget-wise dedicated to bus stop improvements. These will create a nice, safe, flat surface concrete pad for the passengers as they wait with a bench, maybe not a shelter yet, but at least a tree planted to provide some shade, and then when feasible, acceptable, a shelter can be added later. I will highlight again, with the small staff we have, we could not do this without the cooperation of the county. And then the WATA North Transit Center, very excited with this. We anticipate August opening, this August. You can see the cost, but I also highlight how little of that cost has been from the localities. This will replace the transfer site and the Walmart parking lot. It will provide proper canopies for the buses and the passengers as they wait, indoor, outdoor waiting areas, an information desk, public bathrooms, private bathrooms for our operators. So just a much, much better experience for everybody involved. Okay, lastly, for our strategic plan, what we call evolving WATA. So its purpose the purpose of evolving WATA is to be more useful for more people. As I'd mentioned before, I think we might be capping out at the need ridership for our area. So how do we capture those choice riders? The way we do that is increase in ridership. We need to be more convenient. Right, so studies repeatedly show increasing frequency for buses or extending hours or a combination of both directly correlates to increased ridership. That means more people will be choosing transit because it's workable given their destination and their personal time constraints. So increasing frequency makes more destinations accessible in less time for a large number of people. So what our plan is specifically, it's 3 phases, but at the end state, you'll see we will have increased one route to 15-minute frequency, and that would be Route 12 Ironbound. We would increase 5 routes to 30-minute frequency. I'm sorry, that's an additional 3 routes to 30-minute frequency, and those would be Route 1 all day. That's a route Lee Hall, Route 1 to 30 minutes all day, Route 2 Richmond Road 30-minute all day, and also Moortown Road and Merrimack Trail. We would also increase to 60-minute frequency our 1 90-minute route of Lackey. So big improvement across the board. You see there for 5 of our routes increase in frequency. Now, I just like to give an example. What might that look like in particular for James City County? I think of the great Newtown tunes you have in the fall, right? We do have Route 12 Ironbound currently at 30 minutes, but when we sync up Route 1 Lee Hall, Route 2 Richmond Road, routes 3 and 7 Merrimack Trail and Moortown Road all to 30 minutes. That much more convenient to draw that many more people more easily to Newtown for that event alone. All right, so now is an opportune time to implement our strategic plan. Again, core ridership has leveled off. We know increased frequency will attract more choice riders. And also, this being 2026, the nation's semi-quincentennial, and the tourists we expect to see here in celebration of Virginia 250, starting as early as late March, with spring break, the increased frequency will support those tourists getting from their hotels to attractions to restaurants. So we believe this plan will allow the average resident access to 97% more jobs than they have access to. And that's not just jobs, that's again, entertainment, it's shopping, it's health appointments. Now, we can't do this, obviously, without the support of the municipalities. Our FY27 budget is significantly higher, but it supports phase 1 implementation, which is a heavy ask, again, because it's 30-minute frequency on routes largely within James City County, routes 1 and 2. But I believe, certainly from 49 years ago of James City County Transit, where we were just a very small operation, kind of on call, and not these great expansive fixed routes that we are now. Williamsburg Area Transit Authority is on the cusp of really great additional service and being a true staple service for the larger community here. So thank you for the past 49 years and for the future service you are to provide us. I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions for Mr. Scalia?
I just wanted to say a huge thank you about the bus stop improvements. It's just really a pet peeve of mine and has been. Because when people that care enough to get to a job to take a bus, and then great bus system, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people have vehicles. So you've got to really want to get to your job to take the extra step to go to a bus stop. And when you come out and you're standing in tall grass, it's raining, or you're shopping, I see people all the time with grocery bags, standing, no way to sit, no shelter. And you said it, dignity. So I appreciate the effort that is going into that and all of the other. And I do think anything, especially with parking costs or just the hassle of trying to park, I'd love to jump on a bus and go somewhere in this community and have the time shortened. So I appreciate all the efforts that you're making in your strategic plan. So thank you.
If I may add on again, it could not have done it without the county's support, both financially and in effort and work-wise. The QR code there, though, is another initiative started not quite a year ago through the Williamsburg Community Foundation, a new fund for those who, and I get the question often, how can I help? Well, this fund will, though modest, it will help with just small improvements at bus stops. Maybe it's not a full shelter. Those are expensive, as I've told you before, but maybe it's a light. Some of these rural stops especially are very dark, or a fold-down seat, something of that nature. And it also can provide funds to some of the nonprofits and social services to purchase tickets for their clients. So I'm happy to share that too with the community.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to thank Mr. Scalia for having me, for giving me a very thorough background for WATA and the picture of where you hope to go next, including with a brief tour of one of the facilities and one of the buses. So thank you for
It was a pleasure hosting you. Thank you.
And I'll just add that I think that it's very exciting to see the increase, especially the increase in frequency. I mean, it seems to me that that's a major issue. Have you looked at all in terms of some additional instances where we could have bidirectional bus routes? That seems to really help shorten trips for a number of people.
An example.
Yeah, just cases where you would have a bus running in one direction and then also following the opposite direction, so that if somebody, for instance, gets on at a relatively late stop in the one direction, they don't have to go the whole route in order to get back to their original starting point.
Right. So all our frequency would be just adding another bus to existing routes. So depending on where their stop is, they might be able to benefit from that, but not, perhaps not to the degree you're talking about. There are some stops that afford that convenience, but not
many. Yeah, I recognize that it becomes a very expensive kind of proposition in that instance, but it may, when you start talking about the convenience rider as opposed to the person who's required to ride in order to get to a job and so forth, that's going to pick up more riders, I think.
And I agree, and I think for our next strategic plan, we'll doing a handful of years, we will take a much closer look at the network as a whole.
We've had an opportunity, Mr. Scalia, to see you at a number of events where Hampton Roads transit organizations are involved in presentation. I want to congratulate you on the good job that you do in those instances. I think that you make it clear that we have a dynamic bus system that is really serving a great need.
Thank you for that. The biannual State of Transit. Thank you for your support of that.
And I want to highlight again what you said about that new terminal that we're getting, the north terminal, as you refer to it. The share of the cost of that's being borne by local governments, less than 4%, basically, right? Meaning that federal and state money is covering a great deal of that. And there are a couple of bills in the legislature this session that would dramatically increase transit funding, and hopefully they will have some success.
We're watching those closely.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I look forward to seeing the transit station, because I've been at Walmart when everything changes at certain times, and it's like a zoo, but it's interesting. So I can't wait for the grand opening across the
And
street.
you of course all receive invitations, and we, again, the schedule's on track for this summer. Very excited for it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, we'll now move on to a presentation on the popular annual financial report that, with Cheryl Holland, and I'm really excited about this. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Okay.
I'm Cheryl Holland. I'm the Budget and Reporting Director for the county, and I'm here today to present, as mentioned, the new financial report prepared by the Financial and Management Services Department. As you know, in addition to handling the county's daily financial activities, FMS also prepares two significant financial reports each year: our Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or ACFR for short, and the county's budget. The budget document is forward-looking, focusing on the dollars the county anticipates receiving and the costs the county expects to incur in order to provide services to our citizens in the upcoming fiscal year. And while the ACFR, on the other hand, looks back, going over the county's finances for the prior fiscal year in detail. Both the budget and the ACFR follow financial reporting standards and best practices applicable to local governments, and both documents are over 100 pages. They are technical and precise and lengthy because they have to be in order to provide the full picture of the county's finances. However, FMS is always looking for ways to make this complex financial information more accessible. We strive to be transparent and help our citizens understand the ins and outs of the county's finances. To that end, for fiscal year FY25, we've prepared the county's first popular annual financial report, and that's abbreviated PAFR occasionally. Instead of 100 pages, this document is only 12 pages. Now, it's not meant to replace the county's ACFR, but instead it supplements that document, and it gives a starting point to help understand the county's annual audited financial statements. I'll note that the ACFR is still the basis of the information in the PAFR, but the PAFR is in a streamlined format, and it doesn't have the technical terminology or the complexity that you'll find in the ACFR. Instead, the PAFR provides key insights into the county, our recent financial performance, and financial trends we've seen over time. And as mentioned, it's meant to be a starting point. If a citizen reads this report and wants more information on the county's fund balance, on the county's assets, on the costs the county has incurred, there are links and references throughout the PAFR where more information can be found, and also contact information so that they can reach out to our department if they have any questions. To briefly scroll through the report, this is the opening page, but you'll find that there is, on the introductory page, this covers what the ACFR is, what it contains, some of the items I've just noted. This is followed by high-level information on the county and its departments for FY25, and again, those links where readers can find more information. On page 5, we dive into the finances for FY25, starting with 2 pages on the general fund, where our primary operating activities take place. These pages cover first the revenues, or dollars in, and the expenses, or the dollars out, for the general fund, with highlights and trend information. Oops. And it is a little bit sensitive. That's the general fund. And then the PAFR moves into the Capital Projects Fund. This again covers the major costs and funding for capital projects during FY25, with some highlights included in there. The next 2 pages cover the county's fund balance, first giving a breakdown of assets, liabilities, and fund balance, and the following page gives a breakdown of changes over time in fund balance for general fund, capital projects fund, and then the other governmental funds of the county. And then moving on to page 10. This covers the county's net position for FY25, and again, there's trend information to show the prior 2 fiscal years. There's also insights into the differences between net position and fund balance. Again, the PAFR avoids the technical side of governmental accounting, but we still try to offer some explanation of how the county's finances work. Finally, the PAFR provides certain trend information and other county highlights on page 11. And on page 12, a reader can test what they have learned from our document with our PAFR quiz. And there are also, again, links to other resources, including our ACFR and our budget document on this page. I won't stay too long on the final page because you will find the answers to the questions, so bear with me, I'm scrolling back to the beginning. So again, this was a quick summary of this document. To conclude, the intent of the PAFR is to be a resource where citizens can go to answer questions on the county's finances, or at least be pointed in the right direction of where they can go to find more. FMS plans to prepare this report each fiscal year going forward, and we hope the readers find it useful. It is now available on the county's website. Are there any questions on the PAFR?
What's a passing grade?
We're giving everybody a pass this year because it is the first year. Next year, the quiz may be harder.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
No, I just wanted to comment on this. I thought this was an absolutely wonderful document. I think it has the essence of everything in one spot for folks to come to. And I go back to my academic training at the Air Force Academy, and it would be said of this. This is a document that is to highlight aeronautical engineering for poli-sci majors.
That's what we're trying to do. Not everybody has had a
Good
chance
job.
to go through and get an accounting degree, and so we understand that, and we want to give insight, though, into these
Very,
finances.
very,
Thank
very
you,
well done.
Cheryl. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's with a labor of love.
Absolutely outstanding work, Ms. Holland. I think this is a great asset to folks who are interested in knowing a little bit more about the county and its finances, and where their tax dollars go and where they come from and so forth. I think you've done a great job here in putting this together, you and staff and FMS. So appreciate that very, very much. And in the tradition of great rock concerts, when somebody gives an outstanding performance, we sometimes ask for an encore. And so our next discussion, the CIP, is going to be presented by Ms. Holland.
As mentioned, the PAFR was looking back, just like our ACFR, and now it is time for budget season, so we're going to be looking forward. So, no worries. I will just mention that the topic of this discussion is the CIP. It should be the Excel. Thank you. And in terms of this discussion, what we've done is we're covering the CIP request received for the FY27 through FY 2031 capital improvement program. And these, I will note that the spreadsheet reflects the costs and timing of capital project and maintenance items as they were submitted in department's original request. You should have the spreadsheet printed out for you that covers this information, but we'll be going through it in an overview today. I'll note that the amounts and timing shown here are subject to change depending on the resources that we determine are available to support CIP and the priorities of the county as they are determined during the FY27, FY28 budget process. And then again, I've mentioned a few of my notes so far, so today, again, will be an overview, and we'll be going into more detail on these requests at the retreat next month. Also, my team and I are happy to prepare any additional information just because this is summary level, and we will have that for you at the retreat if you'd find anything else, some additional information useful. To start off today, this spreadsheet covers the information on the department who submitted the request. You can see that on the far left-hand side. Also, whether or not it's a capital project request or capital maintenance, the request title and project description, the department's ranking in terms of the priority of that particular project, the projected timeline, as well as the cost for each year of the 5-year CIP, and then a total. Again, these are the requested cost and the requested timing. They are subject to change. I'll also note that if a capital project request was completely new this year, it is shown in, it's highlighted in a pale blue color, and if a maintenance item is completely new this year, it's highlighted in an aqua color, and you'll see that as we go through. For each department, there will be one summary line at the bottom in light green that gives you the totals requested for each year for the department and the 5-year, as well as in gray underneath that, the plan amounts. That's covering what was included in last year's capital improvement program from FY27 through FY2030. Going department by department, we'll begin with community development, and you can again, I would refer to the spreadsheet you have printed out in case this is not zoomed in enough, but I will just say that we'll start with community development, and their capital project request is for the ongoing transportation match funding. And they will have, and they have maintenance requests for open space match, transit stop improvements that we just discussed, and drainage improvements in, for the VDOT roadway match. Moving on to the fire department, their capital project requests include the replacement of Fire Station 3 as well as the new Fire Station 6. And their maintenance requests include replacement of certain medic units, advanced life support equipment, certain fire vehicles and fire engines, and self-contained breathing apparatus, along with a new fire engine and medic unit at Fire Station 6. I will note one item I meant to mention before. The main differences between project requests and the maintenance requests are the projects are the more significant items. This is the main asset acquisitions, construction, or significant renovations that may change the footprint of an existing asset. The maintenance items are still meeting our CIP threshold, but they are more for minor improvements, smaller scale maintenance, and also equipment items. So that's why you'll see that range within the capital maintenance category. Moving on then to the general administration functional category, you'll see the capital project request for the Consolidated Government Center, as well as the capital maintenance request for the replacement of the voting equipment from the Office of Elections. For information resource management, these are all software requests, so they are considered capital maintenance, and they are for our HR, payroll, and real estate assessment software replacements.
When we last replaced the software for those?
That is a great question. I don't have that specific
That's fine.
data for me, but I can have that for our the
you.
retreat meeting. And I know that they do look at oftentimes 5 to 10 years for software replacements, and also depending on the functionality. Going then to Parks and Recreation. I'll start with their capital projects, and they have them at the following locations, and you can see the specifics on those projects listed, but these do cover Grove Community Park, Green Springs Interpretive Trail, Upper County Park, Chickahominy Riverfront Park, War Hill Sports Complex, Veterans Park, Brickyard Landing, and Jamestown Beach Event Park. The Parks and Rec maintenance requests include playground replacements, rec center lobby renovations, pool resurfacing, traffic barriers and perimeter fencing at War Hill, and new maintenance requests for a wheelchair accessible bus and synthetic turf replacement at War Hill Sports Complex. And again, the departments will also be available at the retreat to go into more detail on the project requests. Next, we have the police department. And their capital project requests include prefabricated classrooms at the firing range and covered parking for specialty vehicles, and those were requested in prior fiscal years, and new requests for launch sites for drone first responders and an expansion of the law enforcement center. Their capital maintenance requests include drone replacements, new integrated technology systems, remodel of storage areas, and a new maintenance request for a replacement rigid hull inflatable boats. On to Public Works, previously known as General Services. They have ongoing work on their new administration building. They have stormwater watershed management projects, and also a warehouse facility for county department storage needs as their capital project request. Now for the warehouse request, I'll note the department has offered an alternative. Rather than building a new storage facility, they could potentially renovate existing property at Tuning Road to accommodate the storage once the department moves to their new administration building. There are pros and cons to each option, but they wanted to offer that storage possibility for consideration. With regard to Public Works capital maintenance, there are requests for building and HVAC improvements, stormwater maintenance, asphalt and concrete repairs, and vehicle replacement. There's also a new request for maintenance of a transfer station located at Jolly Pond Convenience Center. Rolling down, we get to the project request from the Williamsburg Regional Library for the new library to be located at the site of the new government center and a library in Grove. For capital maintenance, the library has requested replacement of the sign at the entrance of the Croker Road Library and other refurbishments at that location. Then regarding the courthouse, I want to note here that the CIP project costs and maintenance at this location are split between the county and the city based on population. The cost estimates shown here are the full amounts of the projects and maintenance, and the county receives reimbursement from the city for approximately 16 to 17%, depending on the final population numbers used for this fiscal year. The courthouse project requests is for a 30,000 square foot expansion, and the amount shown, it's off beyond the screen, but it's in the later years. That is only for the design. An additional amount would be needed for construction that's beyond 2031. There's also an alternative that the department has offered for this project, and that would be delaying the expansion until 2038. In the meantime, the department recommended moving staff from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to a nearby county property that would be vacated once the government center is complete. So there is another option there that would, it would be delay, but it would provide an alternative. The courthouse maintenance request is for repairs and refurbishments at the courthouse. And lastly, we have the school requests that are on the final page. As described in the recent revised agreement with the schools in the city, the county will pay for 100% of capital costs for school facilities within the county, and the county will pay for its proportionate share based on enrollment for shared facilities and shared capital needs. These include buses, for instance, and certain division-wide costs. There are a number of miscellaneous maintenance needs across the various schools, including HVAC replacements, roof replacements, interior refurbishments, and the like. Regarding project requests at county school facilities, there are bus canopies, and that's in that top section there, are the 100% county projects. And those are for bus canopy structures at Norge Elementary and Lois S. Hornsby Middle. And at the shared facility near the bottom of the screen, those are for requests for classrooms for a career and technical center, renovations to the school board central office, and a centralized storage facility for the schools that would be located on Jolly Pond Road. Please note that the joint costs here just reflect what would be the county's share. This isn't the full cost, it's just our estimated 90.03% of capital costs. Again, this was a very quick overview of all of the CIP requests received for 2027 through 2031, but are there any questions on this overview so far?
Questions from Ms. Holland?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'd also add, this is really all the request. It's not a recommendation. We just brought it to the board so you could see what departments are asking. If we fund all of these, I would be surprised. I mean, it just becomes hard to do them all. And part of what we will ask of you at the retreat is to help us prioritize those of what we absolutely should do, what we may do if funding allows, and maybe what we ought to defer. And that's always a process we go through. We've had the board more involved last year and then trying to do that again this year to have you ahead of the budget assimilation and my proposed budget coming out at the end of March. So we have a month or two, but if you have questions about specific projects, as Ms. Holland indicated, we have a ton of information that's supporting documentation that departments have submitted. This is trying to summarize it into something we can all sort of see in one place and get our heads around. But we can answer questions about operating costs or other things if you have those for any specific project as well.
I'm not looking for answers right now, but what I'm looking for when we get to the discussions at our retreat relates to a lot of these storage facilities. Because when you take a look at the square footage and the costs, the cost per square foot is inordinately high. And I'm just sort of curious about some of the background, what I don't know. I need to learn what I don't know that, about what drives this, and whether or not there are any other viable options that are maybe a little more in keeping with what I thought the square footage cost should be. I know you got to have certain requirements, but I'm trying to have a better understanding of what it is that drives the cost on it.
We ought to be able to provide that, whether it's conditioned space or not, and then how it's sort of compartmentalized
Right.
within the space.
Yeah.
So we'll
Thank
have
you.
that information available.
Any other
So one
questions?
question I had was regarding the canopies. And this is always because I was on the school board when canopies were taken off during construction because of cost, but then we always end up putting the canopies on because of safety and weather. And so I don't know, for instance, on the pre-K buildings that are being built right now, are there canopies on there? So when they come back to us for canopies, what's the cost going to be? And so I was just, are Norwich and Hornsby, are they the last two buildings that don't have canopies, or are they going to come with more requests? And I'm be curious if they could tell us what is the cost if they're added on, and I know construction, but let's say a school was built today, what the canopy cost would be compared to going after market, so to speak, and putting in a canopy.
That's a great question.
So that would be my question there. And yeah, is there an is there something else that we could do? So that it looks like it's $6 million to build the storage facility out at Jolly Pond, similar to Supervisor Eisenhower's. Is there something else, or another, is there an alternative to that? But I know they need it. They've shown us pictures where they're storing things outside on a loading dock, which is not protecting them from the elements. So, and then I think something for the joint meeting, it's hard to know about a career and technical expansion when we don't know what that is yet. So, yeah, thank you. But I appreciate this very much.
Comments? And thank you very much. This really does give us something to look at and think about going into the retreat as opposed to just seeing it on that day. So appreciate that very much. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Holland.
Thank you, Ms. Holland. We now move on to our fourth item, which is Busch Gardens tax appeal. And Mr. Stevens, you're on.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we'd had conversations with you about a refund that was due Busch Gardens and their appeal from changing much of their rides and attractions from personal property to real property. And so we sort of have a team of us in place as it involves a lot of us from the Commissioner of Revenue, the Treasurer, and our FMS department. So we're going to start off with the Commissioner of the Revenue, where he would sort of give you the background of the process and the tax appeal and how we ended up coming to our attention and working on it this past year. And then Treasurer will fill in sort of the refund amounts and then FMS going forward. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Bradshaw.
As you are aware, there is a process for making appeals of valuation and/or classification of various forms of property for taxation. In this case, we had a very large taxpayer make an appeal back in early 2021 regarding the classification of much of their property. They wanted to change it from personal property to real property. They filed an appeal which covered the tax years 2017 through 2020. We are then required to respond to that by either making the adjustments on the spot or saying, no, we don't think that's correct. The response that was given was appealed to the state. The initial one was kicked back by the state saying, I'm sorry, that was not really an appeal, so they're going to have to do it again. So we did. In late 2024, the state issued its opinion, which sided with the taxpayer, and so we were required to change all of those assessments from personal property to real property. Because of the delay that was of the opinion by the state, there were some tax years that we were not able to assess as real property due to statutes of limitations. That's the basics that we have for that. So again, the state has mandated that we change those items to real property, and so they are now being assessed by the real estate office.
Any question about processing the tax appeal? And I guess, Mr. Bradshaw, we really became aware of the state's ruling last fall as we started. We knew there was an ongoing process, but their final determination seems like came out in the fall of 24. I say last fall
When
of
we got the
24.
appeal, we did communicate with county attorney's office and FMS regarding it and what process we were going to be taking at that point. At that, then the next step was could not be taken until the state had actually ruled on the matter.
So the state took a lot of time to rule on the appeal. Is that what I heard?
No, they did take a bit of time on the appeal. Plus, initially they kicked it back and decided they were not going to rule on it at all because of some wording that was in the initial appeal. They said it was not really an appeal; it was a request for a consideration rather than an appeal. But I'll be honest with you, we killed a lot of trees on those. The appeal that we got from them took about a ream of paper, and our response took about the same.
So we did respond in a timely manner.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Can I ask, 2024, it says that state tax commissioner agreed with the taxpayer and ordered the county to refund the taxes paid from 2017 through 2024. So that's the amount of
The
personal property taxes that we would have to refund.
On the properties that were.
But we were not allowed to go back all the way to 2017 and substitute for. So basically what they're saying is that they're giving this taxpayer a complete pass on any taxes for a certain time period.
A 3 to 3.5 year period.
3.5 years. Okay. That's just to make sure we understand that very. When was the first year we could go back and do real estate taxes on them?
Fiscal year 21 is the first one that we did.
21, okay, yeah, fine.
Now, bear in mind that we're on, personal property is on a calendar year.
Yeah.
And real estate is on a fiscal year. So that would have been the fiscal 21 incorporated half of calendar year 2020.
Members, as we talked through this issue, we had our treasurer involved, Ms. Jenny Tomes, in terms of working out taxes that we owe, interest that we would owe, and so she's here to sort of talk through that process of what we have processed as a refund.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of. The Code of Virginia states that localities shall pay interest on any tax refund at the same rate charged for tax delinquencies. For James City County, the rate is 10% annually. So based on the amount of tax that was abated and the interest rate, the amount owed to this corporation by the county was about $15.1 million. However, once the property included in the appeal was reassessed as real estate, the corporation incurred an additional $12.4 million in real estate tax. Offsetting this tax balance with a portion of the refund due left a balance owed to the corporation of about $2.9 million. A check for this amount was issued in December of 2025.
And just to, this was a change made at their behest to go from personal property to real property.
They initiated the appeal, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
So going forward, the impact of this is likely to be that the assessment would be a higher value?
That's what brought our real estate and our FMS director, yes.
This is definitely a team effort here. Good afternoon. I'm Sharon McCarthy, Director of Financial Management Services. I also have with me today Dale Gallagher, who is our Director of Real Estate Assessments. We did want to touch base on the impact of this tax classification change going forward. First, the BTPP, of course, stands for Business Tangible Personal Property. Under this classification, in lieu of depreciation under federal tax guidelines, the county depreciates the property upfront by 75%. And then we retain that value until the property is either sold or otherwise disposed of. The tax rate under that classification was $4 per $100 of assessed value. So for example, if you have a computer that is a $400 computer, the assessed value is only $100. 25% because we're discounting the 75%. And so at a $4 tax rate per 100, it would be $4 of tax on a $400 computer. For real estate, the value is assessed at fair market value, 100%, and the tax rate is 83 cents per $100 of assessed value. Under the BTPP tax approach, the Commissioner of Revenue was responsible for the assessment. And with the change to real estate, the real estate office is now responsible for the valuation. In this particular situation, the taxpayer is in a specialized industry, and as such, the county engaged a professional firm that performs valuations exclusively for hospitality industry nationwide, as well as for a neighboring locality. This chart here shows the amount of the tax paid under both approaches, and going forward, the net impact on property tax revenue is estimated to be an increase of about $2.6 million. That concludes our remarks. Happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
This is pretty specialized property. Could you just spend a minute on the way in which you determine the value?
I'm going to defer to our real estate director of real estate.
So they did different parks throughout the state. They also looked at other localities that have amusement parks. It was based on income of what the park brings in for the rides and things like that. So that was basically.
So we consulted a specialist in appraisal.
Yeah, and again, they do all three approaches, and the income approach was the most logical.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of this board, we still are having some ongoing conversations. We believe this settles it for us. It's the action we have taken and that I had discussed with you previously, and we just thought it was important to share that information. We will see where we end up with the taxpayer, but that is, we are having ongoing conversations. We believe this is fair, and it's what we've done is the right thing, and our intent was to get it settled and move on from that. And so if we have information to follow up with you, we'll do that at a future date.
Further questions? No. Okay. Thank you very much for that information. Now we'll move on to board considerations, and we want to have a motion to amend the board's adopted meeting calendar to add a retreat on February 12th, 2026 at 1 p.m. at the James City County Voter Office of the Elections, 4095 Ironbound Road, Williamsburg, Virginia. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Eisenhower to approve. Mr. Chairman, would you, Ms. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Mr. McGlynn?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now down to board requests and directives. Ms. Wainwright, do you have anything you'd like to request or any announcements you'd like to make or reflections on the last couple of weeks?
So no requests at this time. I'm a fan of the snow, I'll say that, the ice not so much. But I just echo what was said earlier. You know, where I live is very rural, so I was very surprised to see the plow trucks come through late yesterday. Has been a busy couple of weeks. I was able to attend the Williamsburg History Virginia 250th quilt making event over at the college, and that was a very neat event, very interesting presentation. I believe they're going to have additional opportunities for citizens to participate in this 250-foot long quilt. You do not have to have any artistic ability. I can attest to that because I don't. Also attended my first Agriculture and Forestry District Advisory Committee meeting. Joined everyone at the Kongsberg groundbreaking Friday a week and a half ago. Got a tour of the Greater Williamsburg Sports Complex and Event Center, which we have to come up with a shorter name for. That's very impressive. The descriptions and the pictures online really don't do it justice. So I'm excited about the opening for that. And had my first Virginia Peninsula Jail board meeting and tour there as well. I have a little bit of background with Merrimack Detention Center. I knew that they ran a tight ship and everything was clean and just ran well. And I was impressed also by our regional jail and just the hospitality that Colonel Witham made. And yeah, give me that tour. And then I've also had some VACO trainings that are filling up my calendar, but good timing as we're working on our budget and going through the budget module with the Virginia Association of Counties. So that's.
Ms. Dunn?
Let's see. I toured the sports center as well. It's phenomenal. I just can't wait to be there. Also went to the ribbon cutting for Synergy Rehab down in McLaws Circle. It really makes me happy to see more things like that because my son has PTSD really bad. And this is what this gentleman does. He used to be in the Army and he has done an open to center here. He has one in Fredericksburg. And we need more things like that around here where we can help people. And the VA doesn't do such a good job as we know, so we've got to send them to things like this and get them the help they need. And then one of the things I'd like to discuss, if we can, Mr. Stevens, on our retreat are the landscaping ordinances for this county. I have voiced before that I think they're overbearing for businesses and most people, and I know Ms. Larson has said too. So maybe we could get that on the agenda. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Eisenhower?
Aside from the Kongsberg, which was nice that they had a heated tent for us. It was a very impressive groundbreaking ceremony. Looking forward to actual construction work out there and getting that operation up and running after a long time in the planning process. And then I also did attend on the 20th the Greater Williamsburg National Day of Racial Healing, which was a very interesting program, a very motivating and inspiring program, I think. And I thought I was there by myself until I found out that Ms. Larson and Mr. McGlennon were hiding on the other side of the room at a different table. But it was nice to have good representation from the board there, and I appreciate all the work the county helps put into that. It's a very important part of this community.
Thank you. God bless your son. That's very difficult, and I'm appreciative of his service, your service, and your father's as well. So, Kongsberg was incredible. But I also want to take a moment and thank Economic Development for all they did, Parks and Rec. There was a lot of coordination that went into that, and it was a large event. And also want to give Miss Sadler a shout out because that industrial park was going on when she was here, and she did a lot of work trying to get that through. And so I know she wasn't here for the big groundbreaking, but she did play a role. So I think it's a great opportunity for the county, and just want to say thank you to everybody that helped coordinate that and helped play a role in getting that here, including the Hampton Roads Alliance, which, by the way, I attended a Hampton Roads Alliance meeting last Friday. See what I did there? Lot going on. They talked about possibly a trip to Norway in a couple of years to see about trying to make sure that we're staying relevant and seeing about getting some more of Kongsberg's colleagues over this way. They are really working on defense in our area. They're doing a lot of work, the Alliance, and so it was a really good meeting. I appreciated being part of that board. I'll sit on that board another year this year. I'm going to mention this in a selfish way, but for the last few months, I've been participating in practice weekly for Dancing with the Williamsburg Stars. This is incredibly out of my comfort zone. I am not a dancer. I don't want to embarrass this county, myself, my family, most especially my grandson, because this is going to go on YouTube. So long after I'm gone, it's going to be out there. But this benefits two wonderful organizations in our community, being Literacy for Life, which now more than ever, organizations like Literacy for Life are extremely important to the communities that they serve, and Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And I was at my WTC, my Williamsburg Tourism Council meeting on Tuesday, and Denise Kellogg from Historic Jamestown told me that she used to be a big sister and talked about the impact that had, not only on her, but on her little sister. And so you don't have to support me, but please go on to Williamsburg Stars and look who is on there and dancing. And I urge you to donate, if you can, to one of those people that is participating, because there may be one or two that dancing is in their comfort zone, and that's great. But our own Christopher Williams is doing it as well, who is behind the scenes here, sort of like the wizard in Wizard of Oz. And they're putting in a lot of extra work, and there's elements of stress to it. I'll say that. So just give it a little plug. But I did attend the WTC meeting. Of course, the big thing that we're working on is the 250th, which, by the way, continues, just to remind you, to 2031. We will wrap it up with the surrender commemoration at Yorktown. But the big thing is May 15th, the third hour of the Today Show will be here. And the way that works, they will probably be in front of the Palace down in Colonial Williamsburg. But their producers will be doing scouting work, and they will decide 7 other areas to visit in the greater Williamsburg area. That is up to their producer, but they will be scouting that. So for instance, that could be Busch Gardens, that could be Historic Jamestown, Yorktown, the Revolutionary Museum in Yorktown, Beachfront in Yorktown. So we will get 7 additional segments after that, but that is really exciting. So send good thoughts for great weather on May 15th. I attended, I was asked to speak for Kiwanis at the Williamsburg Lodge last week to give an update on James City County. I want to thank them for having me. And then on Thursday, I represented James City County at the chamber meeting, and we heard from Dr. Keever. He shared his superintendent's transition plan, which he's also shared with us. He did a great job. And then you mentioned the Racial Day of Healing and the Alliance. So it's been busy. And sorry, Chair, I'm just going to take just another minute. So yesterday, there was an article regarding some bills that are going through right now in committee. And a couple of them are specifically speaking to local control and on housing. And I appreciated the coverage of the bills. What I didn't appreciate was the word jealousy, because it's not about jealousy. At least I don't believe it is for anybody on this board. It is about keeping decisions about land use to the people that represent the people that it will most impact. And I try not to look at social media and read comments, but I did see a couple of comments that were made, and it was, well, localities haven't done a good job of something like affordable housing, so the state has to step in. And that's not true. And that, I don't believe that is especially true for this board. And for instance, Supervisor McGlennon, who has been here, this county has done a lot with affordable housing. Is there more to be done? Certainly there is. But that should be working together with the Commonwealth, not being told. So a couple of things. One thing that's going through, I believe, is multifamily on commercial sites. So apartment buildings can be by right on a commercial building. Sorry, I don't want to, what's the word, with the putting in a additional house in your backyard.
ADUs?
Yes.
The affordable, accessible dwelling units?
Thank
Right.
you. That may work in some communities. That may work here. But we want to hear from the neighbors who will be impacted and from the homeowner. That ability could be taken away. We could be told that that's going to happen. So that's why we work and try to have people listen to us that sit in delegates or senators, because we want to hear from our neighbors. We want to hear from the people that are going to be impacted the most by those types of decisions. And if you get Williamsburg Watch, he's listed everything that could be impacted. It is not because we don't want to provide affordable housing for our citizenry. We work very hard to try to find opportunities. We've been very, I think, served by Von Poller and all the work that's been done there. But we want to be able to make the decisions for that community. And we went to a chamber forum and we heard that from the participants. And now we've had 2 delegates that have voted it out of committee, saying, yes, let's make that decision here in the Commonwealth. Now, it's the beginning of the process. So I'm hopeful that there will be some work done that doesn't happen. But that is why we are advocating for local decisions to be made by localities. Or that's why I'll only speak for myself. That's why I'm advocating for that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are important words. I would simply add to them that the best way in which the state can have an impact on localities is by incentivizing localities, not by telling them you must do this. And we've had lots of instances in which when the state provides us with opportunities and programs, we have taken full advantage. All of the programs that we've put together through the Community Block Development Grant Program, such as Neighbors Drive and Forest Heights Drive, allowed us to not only provide upgrades to the quality of that neighborhood by putting in wider roads that could accommodate school buses and emergency vehicles, but also to increase the number of lots in that neighborhood so that Habitat could come in and build some new houses, including the first 3D house that is owner occupied in the United States, and I'm told in the world. And we've had opportunities to do things like develop a program for a community land trust, which provides real opportunities for us to, again, make ways for affordable housing to exist in the community. So it's important to understand that we're not Fairfax, we're not Lee County, James City County has its own unique characteristics and challenges and opportunities, and we are working hard to accomplish a balanced community that has housing for those who work here, those who retire here, those who raise families here. But we can't do it when the legislature is saying things like, we are going to say that if a nonprofit built a multi-story apartment complex by right in your neighborhood, it doesn't have to pay any property taxes, despite the number of kids that might be in the program, in these schools, and so forth. That was a piece of legislation that is coming up today. So thank you for the opportunity to vent, and we will be talking with our legislators about these issues in coming days. I will also just say that Ms. Larson says she's not a dancer. She wasn't a dancer.
Oh, well.
She wasn't a dancer.
Sure.
She's becoming. But I did notice that Mr. Williams is putting his identification number up there so that folks can contribute to his campaign as well. So you have to be
Okay.
careful where you say these
I
things.
I know.
A couple of quick items. Well, I don't know how quick they're going to be. But 2 days after my election as chair, I attended the HR PDC and HR TPO meetings. We heard information that's very troubling about the impact of federal budget cuts in certain areas and employment cuts in particular in Hampton Roads and the impact that's likely to have on our community more generally. So we have to watch that carefully in terms of our ability to ask the state to step up and meet its needs. Then I came right back from that, and Mr. Stevens, who'd gone to that meeting as well. We both went and saw Ms. Null at the Synergy ribbon cutting in McLaws Circle, and again, welcome them and recognize that we need those kinds of services very much. On January 16th, we had that Königsberg Defense and Aeronautic Strike Missile and Joint Strike Missile Manufacturing and Assembly Facility groundbreaking, and that represents more than $100 million in investment in our community. It represents the opportunity for 180 or more well-paid, well-benefited jobs. It is a company that has a long history of involvement in national security and defense. They viewed their coming to James City County as quite a significant event. We had their president from Norway come and participate in the ceremony and speak. We had their United States branch president here, as she has been multiple times. We had the ambassador from Norway to the United States present. We had the state's Secretary of Transportation there. We had all of the board members and our county administration. We had our county attorney's office. We had so many of our county offices, from community development and planning to Parks and Rec to our economic development office, and I'll pay special tribute to those folks in economic development because they researched the heck out of this particular groundbreaking, including finding out that we were in a community where the name of a segment, a little village of our community is pronounced differently by the Norwegians. It's Norge. It got a it was something that the folks from Norway appreciated, that we were trying to recognize that what we call Norge actually in their homeland has a different pronunciation. And they were thrilled by the fact that we had designated as the address for this new facility 1814 Innovation Drive, recognizing that 1814 was the year that this company was founded. So it was just a great event, and think that both Königsberg and James City County have every right to be proud about the way in which we are moving forward here. On January 20th, with Mr. Eisenhower and Ms. Larson, I did participate in the Greater Williamsburg National Day of Racial Healing and Reconciliation, and demonstrated that I am, every once in a while, the absent-minded professor by leaving my reading glasses at home so that I could not read the proclamation that we had prepared. But Ms. Larson kindly took over that responsibility to show that we were proclaiming this to be Racial Healing and Reconciliation Day in James City County. That, I think, will do for today, and I'll turn it over to the county administrator for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a few items I'd like to share. First, I'd like to start with our storm preparation and response. And, you know, fortunately, the storm over this past weekend was not as bad as predicted. We had limited power outages and accidents, so that was really a positive from that side. I do want to say thank you to our staff who put a lot of time and effort into preparing for and responding to the storm. You know, from our first responders who were out during the storm, responding to calls for service, updating road conditions, sharing that information so we as a county staff knew what was occurring countywide, to our emergency manager for keeping us informed, gathering us together and coordinating our response, to our general services staff who worked through the weekend clearing parking lots, sidewalks, fire stations, our law enforcement center, building entrances, and other spaces so we could safely come to work or return to work, or for those of us that missed a few days. Also to our communication team for sharing closings and updates with the public and our employees, to our Parks and Rec staff who volunteered, to opening our warming center, and to many others of our staff that were willing to do whatever was asked of them. It was really a coordinated team effort. In sitting in the pre-planning environment with many of our departmental leaders the week before this weekend, really proud of all the thought that had gone through, all the information sharing, all the pre-planning, and then the implementation that occurred over this weekend. And I just want to say thank you. And although the storm has passed, the cold temperatures remain, just a reminder to all of us to be aware of our changing conditions. I think for me, really proud of our staff and their effort in serving this community, and much of which the community will not know occurred, but they were ready to be there, and they were in places before many of us got out and rode around either Monday or Tuesday. And so, you know, the upcoming weekend has another forecast for snow. We'll have another round as the forecast gets closer of being ready, but I just want to reassure you that our staff really is committed and is working hard to make sure we're doing all we can to respond to those kinds of events in our community. So really happy and proud of them for all the effort there. I didn't ask Mr. Reinheimer to do a government center update at this meeting. We've done one almost every business meeting for the last year plus. So I thought I'd take an opportunity just to give you a short update that the site work continues. They're really down to the finished grade if you ride by the site for the underground parking structure. So when you wonder why they removed a flat panel of dirt in front of the BMP there, it is really, that's sort of the bottom level of the parking area that would then be built up because they left a shelf of dirt behind that. And so you'll see more of that as you go by. They do have the construction trailers on site. We have the firm MBP, which has actively begun working as our construction management company. You awarded that contract in December. We expect to have 100% construction documents by the end of February, which should, and I say should because Mr. Reinheimer, when I asked him when, was a little vague and when we might have it back in front of the board, but it should lead to our final agreement coming to the boards for approval sometime in an April or May timeframe that would give us that guaranteed maximum price for the project. To date, our price is still a little below what we've told you before of about 178 or 179 million. I still hope that number gets better, but we'll have that guaranteed maximum price for you sometime this spring. And then Mr. Reinheimer will be back with his regular updates beginning again in February. So I just wanted to give you a short update with progress that is going on there. And then I'd like to finish with the 250th kind of conversation and just letting you know James City County is celebrating America's 250th birthday. There are many events occurring across Virginia this year, but our JCC VA 250 committee has planned a Revolutionary Rhythms concert series here on April 17th and 18th. So that's the big weekend for James City County. There are other events, but that's our big weekend. And so on Friday, April 17th, the Plain White Tees will headline a 7:45 p.m. concert. They rose to mainstream with their Grammy-nominated hit, Hey There, Delilah. So I do know that song and a couple others I found since they were named. On Saturday, April 18th, we will have Cool and the Gang. We'll headline a 7:30 p.m. show, followed by a 3D drone show, which I'm told will be really phenomenal. I've not seen one of those in person, so I'm really excited and looking forward to that. And of course, Cool and the Gang in the 70s and 80s had iconic hits like Celebration and Get Down on It. So I'm sure we'll have a good crowd. It appears they have a really good following across the country. We do have tickets on sale now for James City County residents only. So if you're a resident and have an interest in going to these shows, they're available through this week. And then January 31st, they would be open to residents and non-residents alike. And ticket prices for general admission, I believe, are very affordable. The Friday night event is $10 general admission. There's some other tiers if you would like to pay more. And then for Saturday night, the general admission is $20. And again, I think they will be sold out events and a very exciting weekend for us here in James City County. If you want to know where to find ticket information, I think the simplest way, it's on our website, but if you search Revolutionary Rhythms Concert, you will see information about how do you acquire tickets. And again, if you're a county resident and want to ensure that you have a seat, you need to do that before January 31st when we open it up to non-residents to purchase. So really excited to have that coming on. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stevens.
Chair McGlennon, just two things. At some point, we will need to do a calendar adjustment because Supervisor Wainwright, Supervisor Eisenhower, and I are supposed to do a town hall in April at Ford's Colony. So just have to adjust. And, technology is a good thing until it isn't. And I have received note that the jealousy was used as extremely careful in protecting someone. So yes, then I will take it. That is what I was doing. So I will take that for the article. Thank you. And thank you to Mr. Solomon for sending that to me.
All right. We need to go into closed session. May I ask that we have a motion to enter closed session on the following basis: consideration of a personnel matter, the appointment of an individual to county boards and/or commissions pursuant to section 2.2-3711 A1 of the Code of Virginia, specifically the appointment of members to the one member to the Historic Triangle Bicycle Advisory Committee and Planning Commission appointments. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Mr. Stevens, call the roll, please.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Down. Closed session.
We only spoke about those matters that we were charged with.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Ms. Larson has made the motion to certify the closed session. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. And do we need separate things for we do them all at one time? Okay. I will move the following appointments for the Bicycle Advisory, Historic Tranquil Bicycle Advisory Committee. Ms. Beth Tremblay for a term beginning January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027. For the Planning Commission at large, Mr. Jack Haldeman, and then for the Powhatan District, Mr. Vincent Becerro, and for the Jamestown District, Mr. Frank Polster. Their terms to be February 1st of 2026 through January 31st, 2030.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Question on the bike one. I think you said 27. Should that be 28?
So it's the initial term is a 2-year term. And then after that, they can be appointed. That's what it
Right,
said.
we're
in
in
the thing, right?
26.
So today's February 26th to January, through December of 2027.
December. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll? Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Do I have a motion to adjourn to 8:30 a.m. on February 6, 2026 for the joint meeting with the Williamsburg James City County School Board and the Williamsburg City Council at the Stryker Center, 412 Boundary Street, North Boundary Street, to Williamsburg, Virginia.
So moved.
Motion. Please call the roll.
Ms. Wainwright?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
I was wondering who was
adjourned.
going to get it out first.